Good for our team to get back to practice, just with all the different roster lineups we've had. It was good. We needed some days, and we were actually able to get a couple practices in that I think moved us in the right direction. You know, regarding the A&M game, man, we didn't play well at all, and that's on me. Didn't feel like we had the urgency we needed to start that game. Started off with an offensive rebound, 3, and really that was kind of the tone of the early part of the game. But man, our team has embraced the fact that we didn't play well, and I think we've got the right mindset with this group moving forward. I think the ownership of being honest with what we're not good at and what we need to get better at has been on the forefront of this team's mind, and we're really embracing it. And I love our group. I love our potential. And we're excited about the Oral Roberts game and getting back in the USA and competing and improving and putting ourselves in a better position so we can compete in Big 12 play.
Questions? How beneficial is this stretch of this month where you have these long gaps between games where you can't get those practices in?
Yeah, it's the outside of JT being out, and we haven't got him back in practice yet. It's the first time we've had everybody competing in practice besides him. So that was really helpful, and we need to improve on things, especially defensively and guarding the ball. And you can't get that experience in the games. There's a lot of different factors going into games that change who and where on the floor is guarding, and you got to learn over the course of the game because not a lot of it is repeatable as you want it to be in practice. And man, it's good to have practice time in order to continue to drill those things that I think are important. So these long stretches of practices are honestly exactly what we need right now with this team.
Anything from both your losses, both being on neutrals, you start off really bad, could dig yourself kind of holes, come back and take leads late. Anything kind of stand out from your ability to kind of keep fighting through that and get back into it?
Yeah, that's the one thing I have been thrilled with in regards to our team is we've embraced the fact that we haven't been good in stretches. And I do see the fight that it takes, especially in our league, in order to win games on the road and to win games that are going to be filled with adversity where you don't actually do the things that work out for you over the course of the game, but how do you keep scrapping and finding ways to win? And this team's embraced that part, and we've also got to learn how to close games too. You can see our lack of experience at the point guard position with just the ability to kind of orchestrate the way the game finishes.
Coach, the last month and a half with kind of the inconsistency in the lineups that you've been able to roll out there in practice as well, just from an injury perspective, has that been frustrating at this point?
Yeah, it has been frustrating, I think, for our team and for everybody involved just to find a continuity. But that's the reality of what we're doing. And I did think we had the right groups to still win the games that we've lost up to this point. And I think it's not just an effort deal, to be real honest. There's a lot that goes into your approach and how you handle things that don't go your way. And I don't think we've done that well as we needed to with the complete depth of our roster. But that's where I'll tell you I love this team. Their ownership to recognizing it that we haven't responded well with our attitude and effort in all areas. They see that and they see the need to change it, completely open to making sure that it doesn't continue in a way that's detrimental to our team. So really the frustration with not being able to practice and have lineups is one thing, but really how you respond to it I think is the most important part. And I'm not saying our guys haven't played hard, but I think just the disappointment of things not going your way, how have we handled that? And we haven't done that as well as we need to, but these guys are improving in that area.
I guess what stands out about Oral Roberts?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing to me is they've got McBride back, who causes a lot of problems. Anytime you have a point of attack in the middle of the floor that can make threes, get to the foul line, and create, they're changing defenses, and I don't think they've played close to their best basketball. And they've got a lot of roster turnover too. I mean, I think they got hit with the transfer portal and people leaving and transferring up just as much as anybody has. So I don't think anybody's seen their best shot yet. And we've really got to be great defensively and making sure we guard the ball in the middle of the floor, which has not been our strength.
Coach, a key moment in the A&M game was KO was telling guys, hey, block out, block out. How's that kind of, what's that said to you with your new guys, just kind of instilling a profound sense of resilience within this team to stay in the fight?
Yeah, I do think the hope of this team is that we are going to find ways to win. I don't see any, defeat in this group at all. I mean, even at the end of the game, I did see like moments in the beginning, like, man, this didn't work out like I thought. Maybe I'm not playing as well as I thought. Like, how do you respond to it? But we got to the end of the game. There was a lot of grit involved in it, just not a lot of great execution in regard to that. And I think the energy there, the passion for it is there, the will to do what it takes, just not a lot of understanding exactly how this group fits together. I mean, we just haven't been in enough of those tight games to figure it out. But I do think the trajectory of the fight with this group is what it needs to be.
When you prepare for a particular team, just from your experience, how much of what you teach in practice actually carries over onto the court?
Well, one area that we really lacked growth in for a month was just like, how physical can we be? And I think it showed in that A&M game. I didn't think we back down from it, but I obviously with the offensive rebounds that we gave up, that it showed that we're not as physical as we need to be. And JT does make a big difference in regard to that because of his size. We missed it, and obviously we had other guys that were playing that offer the same physicality that are no longer with us. So that part of it is a real part of it, but the truth is, you have to do it in practice consistently, and we were playing those stretch of games that were pretty consecutive with guys that had been injured, and with the lack of depth, you honestly start second guessing, like, how physical do we really want these practices to be so that we can stay healthy? And I've struggled with it as a coach. I mean, through my career, I've always erred on the side, let's just go be physical and figure it out when we get out there. But when you get down to 6 guys and you've had guys that are kind of pulling in and out of practice with just previous injuries, I think it's difficult to determine, like, hey, we got a long-term plan for this group. How do we put ourselves in the best position for the entire season? And I probably made plenty of mistakes in regard to that, but I do think we've lacked physicality defensively and rebounding in the games that we've lost. And I've got to do a better job of coach of finding that line of how do we keep improving in those areas so that we don't have those problems when we get to games that matter. So I do think what we practice carries over. Unfortunately, I think the areas that we've practiced haven't been as effective as we needed to be.
With regard to Elijah Hawkins, up to this point, how well do you feel he has meshed with his teammates on the offensive end and settled into the offensive system that you're running?
Yeah, I think you could ask Elijah, and he would tell you this in our conversations recently. It hasn't been what he hoped. And I think 2 things. One, he's been used to playing almost the entire game at every place he's been. And he's played really fast, and it's kind of been in his hands a lot. And I don't know if that's the most effective way for our team to play. And so he recognizes it. Take the Syracuse game, for example. I mean, he played his best game of the season in the Syracuse game. We won the game. I thought his ability to move the ball. And then I think when you get in crunch time and the game gets competitive, you have a tendency to err on the side of what you're comfortable with and what you've done in the past. And I think he errs on the side of keeping the ball and trying to create opportunities and maybe get a little too deep in the possession, or defensively kind of go for steals and put himself in some bad positions and not be as effective without fouling as he needs to. And those are 2 areas that, like, you got to go through these games to figure it out. He hasn't been able to practice. I mean, if there's anybody on our roster that probably hasn't been able to practice the way he wants to, it's been him, just because he did have a lower leg deal that he was dealing with, and it didn't allow him to practice like he wanted to. And so I think he's probably had the biggest area of growth going into the year, just because of the way we want to play. And the lack of practice time. But I will tell you, his heart to get better and his willingness to do what we need has been unbelievable this week. I mean, just as good as I could have hoped, and he's embraced it, and I think he sees the needs for things to change, and I think we got to keep getting stops so that his effectiveness of playing in transition can be highlighted. But I can tell you one area that he's really good, he can really shoot. And I think we just got to keep involving him where he keeps moving the ball so he can get those opportunities also.
Well, you kind of alluded to it, but losing Devin, he's no longer with the team. How does that kind of change things for you? And does it kind of open up the door for EUI to kind of take some of those minutes now that he is available for you?
Yeah, definitely. With Devin no longer being with us, EY gets opportunities, but I think also it gives us an opportunity when JT comes back to play Fede with JT, and that's something we haven't been able to do much, just because we've had other lineups going on that we've played with more consistency, and that's kind of throwing more guards out there. But as you know, we play teams with more size. I mean, I think the A&M would have been a great opportunity for Fede to play with JT, and we just didn't get that opportunity to look at that lineup. And I do think that's an effective one, where you put D5 more, Darian Williams more at a true perimeter spot, and instead of kind of a combo forward spot. So, I mean, as much as anything, I think EY will play, but I'm looking forward to putting that lineup out there more.
Was there any setback for JT just as far as timeline or?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people ask me that going into the A&M game, and what I would tell you is that, you know, after it initially happened in practice, JT came to me and was like, I want to play in the A&M game. You know, I mean, he was adamant about it and didn't have a lot of swelling, and I felt like the way we looked at it, there was a possibility of it. I think as we got closer to it and the more he moved, the more we saw that it was better for us in the long run if he didn't play. And he looks at it as he wants to play, and I think everybody is just evaluating it on a daily basis. I mean, I do feel like it is a true day-to-day. We're seeing him do more in practice that gives me a lot of hope that we're ready to see what he can do, but we're definitely not going to put him in live action until we know he's fully healed. That's what I will tell you. So a lot of different ways you can err in this one. This one we feel like we need to wait till he's full go and he doesn't feel any restrictions before we put him out there and playing live action.
How do you think Federiko's handled playing probably the most he's ever played in his college career?
Oh, he's handled it awesome. I mean, I think there's some fatigue that goes with playing that many minutes. Federiko's an awesome teammate. One area that I think is that he's got to grow, and he's unbelievable defensively. He really is active. He can rebound the basketball in different ways. The biggest thing for me is just how do we get him to be aggressive all the time offensively. And I don't mean shooting. I just mean like put yourself in position to score the basketball. And I think just because of his career and the way he's done it, he errs on the side of kind of being more of a role player by all natures, and that means like kind of getting himself out of the way. And we need him more in the middle of it if we're going to be as effective as we want to be. It doesn't mean he has to shoot. It just means how aggressive can he be, and that draws the attention of the defense and allows guys that can really shoot to be able to have those opportunities.